Look, there's not many shots that are cleaner than a good backhand loop against backspin. And I can pretty much guarantee you, if you follow the 4 tips that I'm going to talk about, you're going to have a high quality backhand loop. The first mistake that I want to focus on fixing is starting the racket too high. I used to start my backhand loop too high, maybe at the ball, thinking I can just hit through the spin and get the ball onto the other side of the table. This will not work, especially if there's decent backspin on the ball. If you start your racket too high and you don't have enough of a backswing, you're not going to get the necessary lift that you need to get the ball over the net. Instead, if you can drop your racket, get onto the ball, then you can brush up and have a way better chance of the ball landing on the other side of the table with a good arc and safely. The second mistake that I used to make that I want to focus on is not brushing the ball enough. Sure, you might be starting low, that might be a good habit that you've adopted, but are you brushing the ball? If you don't brush the ball, you're not going to create the necessary rotation to counteract the backspin. Backspin is pulling the ball down, so you need to brush the ball and lift it and put topspin on it. There is an art to getting the correct brushing contact on any given stroke, but in general, the more spin you generate, the safer your loop's going to be, whether it be a backhand or a forehand. With a lot of spin, you can get a lot more clearance, margin for error, and dip back onto the table to make sure your ball doesn't fly out. So the third mistake, which is a big one, is the body position. What I used to do was quite stupid. I'd lean back and I thought it was giving me more room. No. All this does is reduces the power you can produce drastically. I also didn't use my core and my legs in the shot at all. It was just my arm. This was pretty much a recipe for disaster until I fixed it. Both of these mistakes make the shot weaker and just crappier in general. Good positioning, correct weight transfer, creating the momentum from your body, it's all going to help. Your arm simply isn't cut out to loop heavy backspin all on its own. So simply what you want to do is have your knees bent, lean forward a little bit, be in the right positions to play your shot. But then when you're playing your shot, use the correct weight transfer technique. If you're a right-hander, it'll look something like this. If you're a left-hander, you can just invert it. You start by dropping the racket and dropping your weight to your left leg and also rotating your torso slightly backwards this way. Then explosively transferring your weight across to your right leg, bringing your racket up. So it should look something like this. The last thing I want to discuss before my camera's battery dies is the timing. What I used to do was hit the ball way too early or way too late, completely screwing up my swing and my timing. I used to either hit the ball too early right off the bounce or too late when it's way down here. The best position to hit the ball is at the top of the bounce or just right after it starts to dip. This will give you a combination of the most margin for error and the most power. That's why I believe it's the most effective place to hit the ball. So let it come. As soon as it's about to drop, boom. So remember, you want to let the ball come to the ideal hitting zone, which I just talked about. You want to make sure you do the action with a smooth swing and a good acceleration like we talked about earlier as well. So yeah, my final tip is ask your coach for advice. It's always great to have extra input. They can help in real time to fix up the stroke, the way you're playing your shot, and it's really beneficial. But if you don't have a coach, which is possible, and there will be times where you won't have access to your coach, what you can do is record yourself on video like I'm doing right now. So you record yourself playing the backhand loop, then what you can do is watch it side by side with another pro player. And try and repeat this cycle. Play, record, watch, compare, adjust, and then repeat that cycle. You want to make little adjustments every time you play and record to try and make your stroke look more like the pro player. Focus on the minute details. Where are the pro players' feet positioned? How much backspin are they actually looping against? All these little things. These are all going to make a difference, and you're pretty much guaranteed to have a good backhand if you can replicate the pro player's backhand. And look, it's easier said than done. So a coach will help, but it doesn't mean you can't do it alone, to an extent. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. If you follow those 4 tips and that little extra tip at the end, I do believe you will develop a great backhand loop against backspin. So yeah, see you guys another day.